Hey Claire, thanks for sending me your swim video for analysis. Before I talk about the technique, what I first did was I was counting your strokes per 25, adding up your stroke count to the time it took you to swim a 25, and that's what's called your SWALF score. At least for the first 4 lengths, the first 100, you were taking generally about 30 strokes, so that was consistent. And your time, the first 25 was 29 seconds, and then you jumped up to 37 seconds. So we want to get that lower, definitely below 50. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to fine-tune your breathing, body balance, rotation, as well as the 3 main phases of the stroke, recovery, what's going on with your hand out of the water, hand entry, because ultimately everything is affecting your underwater catch and push, which drives you forward. So let's talk about breathing, body balance, rotation. You have rotation because you're a bilateral breather, but what's going on when you breathe is instead of keeping your head down and face in the water, you're lifting. You're trying to lift your neck, and that's going to not only strain your neck, every time you lift, that's going to kind of lower your body a little bit. So the idea is to think about when you're breathing, you're rotating, and you're leaving that arm out in front of you for balance, keeping your face in the water, leaving that arm out in front of you for balance, and you're rotating your hip, and your shoulder, hip, and head move at the same time because you're on your hip. So you want to think of breathing as a hip rotation act instead of a lifting your chin neck, because every time you lift your chin, your lower body's going to sink. So that's where you want to start. Right now, also when you're breathing, when your head's out of the water, your arm is dropping, and that could be causing you to not really get a good breath because you just lost your balance point. Also, that arm dropping could be the reason you're lifting your head. So again, it starts with breathing, body balance, rotation. What actually drives your rotation is the underwater catch and push, which you don't have a strong catch and push, so you don't have a very strong rotation. We'll get to that. When I'm looking at the 3 main phases of the stroke, I'm stopping and pausing the video to kind of get a better idea of what it looks like. Let's start with recovery. And I want you to do the same. I want you to stop and pause in various phases of the stroke. Your hands coming around a little wide, but then it comes around and you're almost looking like you're crossing your head, but you probably save it because you do have some hip rotation. I'm going to have you work a little bit more on using your rear deltoid, lifting your arm up to get your elbows a little bit higher, and doing some fingertip drag, because that's going to help you set you up for a fingertip, wrist, elbow, hand entry, because right now you kind of enter and then you're kind of pushing. You're actually pushing, you're not pushing with rotation. You're actually putting your hand in the water, pushing, and then I can see when you're breathing, you're kind of throwing your arm out of the way when you're breathing. This is a little bit of exaggeration. So when you stop and pause the video in the breathing phase, you're going to see your arm coming out. Once we kind of get a handle on the high elbow recovery, then it's going to set you up for a hand entry, and you want to enter and rotate. So as my right arm entering, my left arm pulled. As my left arm entered, my right arm pull. Remember that underwater pull drives a hip rotation, but the arms are kind of going opposite of each other. So you can also think about hip rotation by when you enter, you rotate, enter and rotate, but you want to know what's going on is that underwater pull. So to get rid of this reach underwater, which isn't doing anything for you but causing you to drop your elbow and have a dropped elbow pull, I'm going to have you doing some fist drill, some head out of the water drill, to really get a feel for what it's like to enter kind of at a little bit steeper angle, not enter and then do that. And then eventually, just by fixing recovery and hand entry, that'll set you up for a better underwater catch and push under your body. That's going to drive you forward. But there are some drills just to work on the underwater pull. One is the underwater doggy paddle drill, and the other one is a catch-up drill where you're working on the catch part of the stroke. The catch part of the stroke precedes the push. So you're going to catch, push, propel yourself forward, drive that hip rotation. But first, again, it starts with the breathing, body balance, rotation, which I already described, and then we move on to hand entry, Then we move on to recovery, hand entry, underwater, catch and push. So you just got to be patient. Just think about one or two things at a time and then move on to the other. And when you're doing the drills, try to do a drill and then swim and incorporate the focus of the drill into your stroke. Hopefully that helps. I can't wait to see another video, and I hope you make it a great day.